Welcome back. This is the final episode of NieR Automata, NieR Automata, episode 3. If you're just finding this, probably best to go back to number 1, or at least number 2, so you can get the full picture. Dave, Tales from the Backlog, back once more. Glory to podcaster kind.
That's right. I'm glad you said it. Yeah, glad to be back and happy to get into the second half of the game. The second half? I'm not sure how it shakes out, but that's what it feels like to me. So happy to be here, man.
So we've got some stuff to talk about up at the top that I thought would be prudent. Dave thought so too. Just a couple of things. First, side quests. Were there any that you particularly liked that you found?
Honestly, I did a couple in this replay that I thought was like, hey, that was kind of neat. And then I didn't write it down and I don't remember it now. So I guess not. Like a long time ago, I kind of talked about how this game is playing in some of the places that the original NieR or NieR Replicant was playing in.
Yeah.
And one of those ways is that the side quests are a real pain in the ass to do. And unlike the original NieR, you don't have to do that shit in this game. So I don't anymore. I did a lot of them my very first playthrough, but that was years and years ago.
Very good. Very good. Prepared and don't remember anything. That's my method. You can't steal that. There are some that are kind of cool. There is one that I found that made me laugh real hard. If you go back to the amusement park, you can find some machines that want to put on a parade just to promote the message of love. And you have to protect them because of the other hostile machines. And they're going through in a line. They're chanting in their machine voices like, all you need is love, and we don't want to fight. And if they get attacked and you don't defend them, like if they start getting hit, they just start yelling, help me, I don't want this. I lost it the first time, laughing, but also like I failed the quest because I kept accidentally hitting them, and so did the enemies, so they all died.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that one. I mean, I've just done like, the famous ones like eating the fish and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm nothing if not prepared for this.
Yeah, the main reason that I wanted to put this up front is because I know we didn't talk about a lot of them. Partly that's because a lot of them serve to further some of the messages within the game in terms of like the themes of the story. There are some that give additional lore into what's happening. For example, one about Operator 210. We're going to hear about that a little bit later. Some that give more insight into 9S and 2B, things like that. The reality is we just don't have time to get into all of that, so we will miss things, but that's where we open up the conversation and invite you all to come into the Discord server and chat with us about it. We are open to that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
In particular, there is one, do you know about the final side quest, like the last thing you can do with Emil?
No, I don't.
I don't think it's a replicant spoiler, but it is actually the last thing you can do. You end up having to fight him. He's level 99, and if the level discrepancy is too big, I don't think you can hurt him at all. So, and I think you have to level up all the weapons as well, so that's in here. But it's I haven't done it, obviously, but it's really touching. It ends up being that it's not the real Emil. The real Emil made a bunch of clones of himself, I guess, to help fight with the machines, and now he's kind of tired of living. I think you end up fighting him. He has this whole cutscene at the end where his memories come back, and he's happy to continue to fight just like Kaine did, and just like NieR did, and he ends up, like, as he's dying, he kind of reconnects with them. It's very sweet, but you have to get to level 99 and level up everything, so it's quite a commitment.
See, that's the NieR thing, right? You want this thing. You want to see this storyline with Emil and perhaps see friends again. You're going to have to do all of the grinding and all the weapon level ups and all this tedious bullshit that you probably don't want to do. That's a very NieR thing to me.
Yeah. I mean, if you love the game, I could see it, but it's just, it'd be a lot.
Shout out to anyone who did that, straight up.
Second thing, I just wanted to mention this website I found called The Arc. It has a ton of lore and translation discrepancies, additional points of the story and narrative from supplemental materials. Like, for example, There is a fantastic set of short stories that I've put in the notes later called A Repeating Prayer. It's just a series of stories of 2B and 9S spending time together prior to the events of this game. And in each of the scenarios, she kills him. That's how it either begins or ends. And you get a glimpse into how they feel about that. This website also reveals things like the official number of times she has killed 9S is 48. And that factoid was revealed for the first time at a live orchestra concert because Yoko Taro.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think he just made that up on the spot, like on stage? He's like, you know what? Here's the number. And he's just got 48 in his head.
Man, I don't know. I was checking out some quotes from him on what he thinks is canon for the endings, and he's like, just whatever you want.
Yeah,
basically. I would not put it past him to have just pulled that number out. But it makes sense, given what we're going to learn today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not a spoiler because we've seen her kill him, 3 times at this point?
Yeah, we've, at least 2. Yeah.
And final thing, Dave, I know that you really wanted to chat about this, so I'm going to pass this off to you first. There is this idea from a little-known guy named Friedrich Nietzsche, and I feel like as video game podcasters, we are obligated to at least mention him and get his ideas at least somewhat, if not totally wrong. So that's what we're going to do right now.
Absolutely.
So his concept of God is dead. You, in particular, you brought this up to talk about right now. What are you thinking about this?
So first of all, can I ask you to help establish what is it? Because there's a misconception, and if you just read God is dead, your mind can go in 100 different places. Mm-hmm. But I remember us talking about this in our 1000 Times Resist series, as that's kind of a basis for how that story goes after the first 30 seconds of the game. And I think that, keeping this as a framing going forward is super helpful, or at least, adds some color, and it helps you really think through the story of NieR Automata, especially starting with where we're starting today. So am I right that the general gist is that if your the foundation of your worldview is taken away, such as however Nietzsche came to the idea that God is dead in the society that he was writing about, if that foundation is taken away, then that will inevitably lead to nihilism, or I don't know, worse, because that void is so strong that it would leave behind.
Yeah, you're more right than not, I think. My understanding of it, which that is to say very well could be wrong, is that, when people read it and they know of Nietzsche that he didn't like Christianity, they think he's fist pumping, yeah, take that. But that's not really true. His framing of it was that of, I think, Western Europe at the time. I mean, that's where he was. And he was noticing a decline in religious practices and the adherence to religion and things like that, specifically Christianity, of course. And what he was thinking of is that society was adhering to that religious practice, those religious practices so strongly, both in terms of giving their life meaning, going to church, living according to Christian morals. And he saw the decline as spelling out potential disaster because, like you said, at that point, whenever you don't have something to structure your life like that, are you able to take hold of it and not descend into nihilism, like you said, or fatalism, things like that? So that's where his philosophy, he was kind of a proto-existentialist, where his whole philosophy was you gotta, embrace the individual. You are the greatest thing. A lot of later philosophies kind of took that up. Not philosophers, but philosophies of today and stuff. And it's funny, he actually, I can't remember if I read this, I might be making this up, but I thought I read that he actually respected Jesus in some ways because he saw a lot of his contemporaries of the day saying that they were Christian, but not living like it. And he was like, well, at least Jesus lived like it,
Yeah.
Very parallel to today. But yeah, mm-hmm. you are more or less correct that without that structure in place, there is the possibility of descending into nihilism, fatalism, losing yourself if you do not take existence for yourself.
Right. Okay, good. So then, as we apply that to NieR Automata, we learned at the end of our last episode is when 9S learns that there are no humans anymore. And so if you think of humanity as the god that the YoRHa androids are worshiping, their entire existence is predicated on making it possible for the humans to come back to Earth someday. That's why they're fighting the machines and stuff like that. So without that, the entire foundation upon what 9S knows to be true and his reason for doing anything it's gone. So what this section of the game that we're about to talk about is all about, not all about, but 9S's story is how he just fumbles for meaning after learning about this and learning a couple of other things that continue to make it worse for 9S. 9S really goes through it in this portion of the game that we're about to talk about. And so I think that keeping that, like having that framing of the idea of okay, so if God is dead, the God that you knew to be true and you based the way you lived your life around, if that's gone now, what's your reason for doing anything? And like you said, it would take a really strong, like, new identity to be found. But if you can't find that, then what happens? And I think that's like a really strong narrative thread for 9S.
Yeah. He writes about that a lot, Nietzsche does. I think that's the basis of his concept of the last man in Zarathustra, in his book Zarathustra. To be totally honest with you, I've only ever read Beyond Good and Evil, so I shouldn't be talking. But it's prudent to bring him up here as opposed to like reaching a little bit like I did in 1000 Times Resist, because he was a proto-existentialist, and then Sartre, de Beauvoir, and Camus came after him and built upon his ideas of the individual. Like, when you're confronted with the absurd, you have to just accept it and then live your life as you want. Camus said similar things. It's a whole deal. And we get to see not just 9S, like you said, which is true. His is maybe the most interesting of it all. But you also get to see other groups sort of struggle with this idea. Like YoRHa. What did they do? They created a false god in Project YoRHa, fooling androids into having a purpose. You see that with the Forest Kingdom, where they did something similar. They couldn't handle the idea without something to worship. So they did a meaningless ritual, meaningless to everybody except for them and their morale, which I guess it's meaningful, to keep that going. 9S, as you said. Pascal, even, we're going to see that today, and how he responds. It's everywhere. It's a really cool concept too. Not just God. It can be like whatever you worship. I don't know. Maybe that's a really, what's the word, overdone, common talking point, but I
don't know. I mean, this is what makes this part of the game more interesting to me than the first part, because I find this more interesting to think about and kind of watch it all play out, more so than the what makes us human thing, which I just feel like more stories deal with that, or at least more stories that I play, maybe more video game stories go into that stuff more so than this right here. Yeah,
you're right. You are. Games that do this kind of thing are pretty rare. I mean, you said 1000 Times Resist. That's a great example. Outer Wilds, that you and I have talked about quite a bit. That's another really, really good example of this sort of thing. And yeah, the especially the angle of, what if robots were human? That's done all the time. I think Yoko Taro and his team did a pretty good job, though, especially with this back half, which, as you said, I totally agree. Like, the first half is a preamble. It gets you primed for it. And then this last half it just blows it out of the water. It's really good.
Yeah. Looking forward to diving in.
Well, let's not delay it then. Let's talk about Playthrough C. At the end of Playthrough B, Route B, we saw the commander sort of give 9S all of the confidential information, and she said something to the effect of, when he asked, "Why are you giving this to me?" because we all need a god worth dying for, and we can't fight, for nothing. But here she is back giving propaganda to all of the YoRHa, all of the other androids, the troops, folks like that. That's why I was confused a little bit at the last episode, or the last playthrough, whether, she was buying into that, or if it was some kind of other subterfuge. I'm genuinely not sure.
Yeah, honestly, there's maybe more than meets the eye with the commander, because the commander is keeping up appearances at the very least, but maybe there is more doubt in there.
Yeah, I think so. It's unclear, but she's giving all this propaganda, and that's because they're launching their all-out attack on the machines right now. It's guns blazing, say hello to my little friend. They're going all out. During this operation, 9S is out there. He's out there with all the scanner units. Operator 210, this isn't explained in this scene. She's talking to him like he's a little kid. And he even asks us, he's like, why are you talking to me like I'm a kid?
And those are your orders. Do you understand?
The scanners are going to hack into the enemy's anti-air system and shut it down in advance of an all-out assault, right?
That's right. Good job, 9S.
Why are you talking to me like I'm a child?
What? That must be your imagination.
If you do some of the side quests, you can find info about what she was interested in, and that was humans and their idea of a family. And being an android, she doesn't have a family, so she got really into that idea, and she ended up looking at 9S as like a son, as like one of her children, which is the reason she ended up going down and fighting on the battleground. She goes down, turns into 21B, and fights on the front lines to be near him on the battlefield. Yeah, it's cool stuff. I mean, that's, when I said side quests, we're going to miss some stuff. This is a great example.
Well, they are definitely more worthwhile than they were in Replicant. So maybe I should have played more of them.
I can barely remember any in Replicant. I remember the lighthouse lady. That's the only one I ever remember, and having to go up to that lighthouse 5 times.
Right. That's the reason we don't remember them in Replicant, is because they are all literally just go here and get 5 of these things and bring them back. Yeah, it is a flawed game, but I love it. So this is an all-out war. It is intense. It's totally grayscale. In a lot of ways, the androids are getting their asses kicked. It's bad. 2B, 9S, they get infected. The comms are jammed. Their only option, once again, is to use their black boxes, and they barely make it. It's close. This section is it's tough. When you're fighting out there and you're getting hacked and you're getting infected, and it's you can't use your melee attacks anymore. And all that stuff. It's really hard. I've died in this section in previous playthroughs a bunch of times, because it's just, you got to play super carefully, and that's not normally how this game works.
And there's a point towards the end of it when it's just 9S fighting, as everybody else is down, including 2B, and you're fighting to protect them. Tons of machines, they start getting the ability to use these force fields that disable you, and they can all do it, so they can overlap, and it might become such that you have to just dodge 10 androids or 10 machines attacking you. I died at least 3 times on this.
This is the point in the game, I've talked about before, I really like 9S's hacking minigame in combat, but this is the point in the game where I'm it's too much hacking. It's by far the most efficient way to fight, and it's too much hacking.
It is, yes, it is a lot. Once you beat them, though, you use the black box, everything gets blown up, you're back at the bunker. This is another point of ambiguity with the commander. I would be very interested to hear what other folks think about this. So again, join the conversation, but she is not thrilled to see these two. And in fact, she doesn't believe them whenever we tell them that everybody on the ground's infected, which I guess we didn't mention. We had to fight YoRHa members too, not just machines. They became infected with the logic virus. So the commander's no, I don't believe you. You're the infected one.
A virus? What are you talking about? None of our ground units reported anything about a virus.
That's because all communication with the bunker has been severed.
And why did you leave the battlefield anyway? I didn't order a retreat.
We're telling you, YoRHa has gone berserk!
No. If anyone is acting infected here, it's you.
Are you nuts?
Issues a detaining order, but at that moment, it's it's scripted almost. The YoRHa soldiers, everybody starts to become infected too. The machines planted a virus in here.
Yeah. You gotta go through and like just kill all the people that were in the command room the whole time. Like I remember the first time I played this being like, this like it's all crumbling, like everything's falling apart. We're killing all of our friends. We killed the YoRHa units on the ground. Now we're killing the commander and like the operators and all the people in there.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough. It is we're spiraling at this point.
Yeah, the commander gets infected eventually too. We try to save her, but towards the end she starts to turn and she tells us to get out of there. The bunker, YoRHa, it's all lost. It is effectively crumbling. That institution of worship is gone.
Yes.
You get a little more clarification on how that happened later.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where that sizzle reel comes in. The opening credits and the movie preview. Right.
This is I was a little bit confused in the last episode. It's right. It's like 15 minutes after I said it was in the previous one. But this is the thing that's kind of telling me things are changing. This game is going to be about something different. It's going to be a different flow and pace to it. Get ready for, like you said, season 2 of NieR Automata.
Right. Yeah, there is a shorter one at the very end of Route B, but this one is much longer, shows way more. It's more exciting. This is the movie theater version. The one at the end of Route B is like what you send to the audition panel.
Yeah, the YouTube ad version that you skip in 6 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, and right at the very end, it's sponsored by Raython. Or the Raython?
Yes.
Is that the earbuds? Raycon, that's it. There's a short little flight scene. 2B crash lands. She is now infected with the virus. Do you remember how this happens? I do not.
That she's infected with the virus.
Yeah,
I'm
her and
not
9S
sure.
didn't because 9S halted the data sync, but I don't remember how 2B gets infected here.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like environmental or something, but yeah, like you get infected as 2B is flying down, right? Because she crashes by the like the seaside area.
Yeah, in a small sea of machines. Maybe it is when she's crashing, and I just missed it. That's totally possible. But either way, she is infected. You have to get away from all of these machines, and you get progressively worse and worse. Pod will continue telling you, like, this is a bad idea. Pod, shut up. Where is the area with the least amount of androids? It's over by the Forest Kingdom. Okay, there we go. By the time you get there, you are completely infected, basically. The screen is glitching out, too. It's like staticky and glitchy, and your sound kind of cuts out. You just hear like a ringing. Any speaking is like garbled, but you still have, subtitles.
Very effective.
It's a really neat trick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely effective. But some YoRHa attack, you can't fend them off. You can't even fight at this point, so you're getting your ass beat. A2 is the one that saves you. And afterwards, you don't know what's going to happen. They kind of face each other. 2B cuts her blindfold off. She's got red eyes. She's totally infected. And she asks A2 to kill her and take her sword that's got all of her memories inside of it.
These are my memories. Take care of everyone for me. Take care of the future, A2.
This is, it's important to note also, like, the bunker was just destroyed, so there is no backup anymore.
Yes.
Like, that's where we got our backup bodies, was in the bunker. I don't think they can, like, reprint from the vending machine things. Like, anytime you did the black box thing, you always went back to the bunker. But now there is no bunker. And so if you remember that, it lends, like, extra weight to this death, because 2B has died a bunch of times throughout the story so far, but there's always been that safety net of just, we'll print a new one, but can't do that anymore.
Yeah, they don't have that one friend that works in tech or tech adjacent that's got a 3D printer that they can just run for hours at a time.
Right, yeah.
I literally have a friend like that. I don't know if you're listening, Dustin, but shout out to you. No, I think the lore is that YoRHa are the only ones that have black boxes. So like the army of the humanity and then other androids, they don't. Black box androids can only be repaired at the bunker because it's like specialized. So now, like you said, they're shit out of luck. If they die like 2B just did, that's it. They're done.
Yep.
And unfortunately, 9S sees all of this. He runs, he's looking for 2B, locates her, he runs towards the bridge, and all he sees is A2 running the sword right through 2B's stomach.
Oh no! 2B! No!
And he has a breakdown. Like this is the beginning of a total descent for him that we are going to see play out in a major way.
So rapid fire, right? This is one of the things I like the most, even though it's very tragic. What happens is rapid fire. 9S has lost basically all the pillars, all the things that he cares about. He's lost the idea of humanity. They're gone. Mm-hmm. YoRHa is gone, the bunker is gone, and now 2B is gone, arguably the thing he cares about the most in the whole world. 2B is dead, and he knows there's no bringing 2B back. So yeah, this is the beginning of 9S turning into the Joker. He has nothing left, and so we keep in mind that idea, the God is dead idea. What's left for 9S? What new identity is he going to form? What's he going to latch on to now? Because you got to latch on to something.
Right. Everything that he holds dear, as you said, is gone. And he's going to have to wrestle with that. What do? Do I build a new path to existence and meaningfulness in my life? Do I take my life because it doesn't matter anymore?
Mm-hmm.
All valid questions that he's going to really have to grapple with. He's not able to get to A2. The bridge sort of collapses, and that's going to happen a lot, actually, now that I think of it.
It happens to 9S like a kind of a comic amount of time, like a rule of threes type of thing. It's at least 2 times.
Yeah, it does happen a lot. Jeez. He falls into this chasm. The bridge is destroyed because this white structure that's just called the tower has just sprouted up from the ground. Huge thing. Huge white tower. Nobody knows what it is yet. And I can't remember, did we have a pod scene in Route B?
We had a couple of like the quick pod scenes where like the 2 pods would talk. Yes, we mentioned it as kind of like the Greek chorus type of thing, but they're very simple and very short in Route B.
Okay. Some of them here are short too, but they develop as time goes on. This one is pretty short. Yeah. The pod 042 is just transferring to A2. And because it was 2B's and 2B's memories and sword, they all go to A2 as well. She's not thrilled about this. Being newly assigned to her, the pod keeps asking what her intentions are, and she gets really frustrated. She's like, to beat the hell out of every goddamn machine in this area. Is that good enough for you? And he's just like, affirmative. Sounds good, Chief.
The comic timing on the pods is great.
It really is. He keeps asking too, like every 30 seconds, and she's just like, shut up. And he's like, I have to keep asking until an intention is given. This is like a comedy duo. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a fight in the desert with this machine called Hegel. I don't think we have to dwell too much on it. You do go into a hacking space into A2's memories, and parallels are drawn between her and 2B. Let's just say that.
And I think that like due to, I don't know, the nature that A2 killed 2B, or the fact that the pod has a connection with her, like A2 has 2B's memories now, and so that connection is a little bit stronger, I think.
Oh yeah. They have so much more in common than we know right now, but even if you don't know that, her absorbing the memories and even that final act of kindness of killing 2B, her dying wish, which was a kindness by all respects. She could have let 2B live and be totally eaten up. Think of, we just talked Last of Us on this show. John and I did. There are so many times where people just shoot the folks that get infected because like the alternative is so horrific, right? It's like jumping out of a building that's on fire. You don't do it because you want to. You do it because the idea of staying in the fire is worse. It's horrific.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Really, really cool. A2 is really damaged. She heads to the resistance camp to get a fuel filter. Just like in Route A, they don't have a fuel filter. They can't keep fuel filters. They're just incapable of doing it. What are they doing?
They're just going through them so fast. And they've always just used the last one they had.
Yeah, they've got one Resistance camp member that's going through a midlife crisis. He just bought a Harley. Yeah, that's canon. That's in the official strategy
It's
guide's
one of the side
leaflet.
quests.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, which supplemental NieR, side media is that from? Which mobile game?
the collaboration between NieR Automata and the DMV.
Yes.
But you get there, she's like, you got to go get me some. Okay. Pascal's outside being attacked. And this is, A2 has no kind feelings for machines. This is going to be part of her arc. And she says as much to Pascal, who is just very thankful. Thank you so much for saving me. And she's like, machines don't have souls. They hurt and killed so much. I swore I'd make them pay. And Pascal's just like, I understand. You can kill me if you want to.
And you can, right? You can just straight up kill Pascal here.
Yes, you can. I don't think we did because we want to. No. We need that content.
Yeah, we gotta have stuff to talk about. I mean, why would you kill Pascal here, I guess? It is interesting that, while A2 is obviously, disillusioned with YoRHa and maybe other things about the way of life with YoRHa earlier, like the first time we met her when she said the commander is the one that betrayed you, she still holds true to this idea that machines are worthless and can never, be of any value, basically.
Right.
Even though she doesn't hate the machines for the same reason maybe that we hated them at the beginning of the game, but she's kind of on a different axis of this.
Yeah, exactly. And she's going to wrestle with this too. Everybody is going to wrestle with their preconceived notions. I mean, it's the whole perspective thing that, man, gets really heavy-handed towards the end, but getting there. You go out, you get the fuel filter, you do some errands for Pascal here and there. He ends up sending you a distress signal at some point that his village is under attack. Some of the machines have just turned. They're corrupted and they're cannibalizing the other machines. Like we saw in Route B, the village is totally on fire. And what's interesting, this is where the cracks in her ideology start to form, because she's worried. She gets that distress signal and she's immediately like, oh my God, I'm coming. I'm on my way.
Yeah, maybe she's just faster to warm up to him, or...
I do wonder if that's the influence of 2B's memories.
Yeah, it absolutely could be, for sure.
And knowing what we know, we could say this pretty confidently, but it's like she's being absorbed into 2B into A2, excuse me, in more ways than one.
Yeah.
I imagine that folks listening to this have beat the game, so the village is in total flames. Nobody can be saved, but Pascal did get all of the kids to this abandoned factory. That brings up an interesting point. There's at the factory, the kids are inside, but there's this huge onslaught of corrupted machines. You fight them, and it's never ending. You just have to survive long enough for the next scene to come. It's unrelenting. And Pascal resurrects a literal copy from the first route, from Route A, of Engels, that giant, what did I call it, transformer bionicle thing that rises out of water.
Yeah.
And you get to play as it as you're walking through these hordes of machines. You just slap them away. You can run into them. They just blow up. It's pretty sweet. It's annoying to play because it's so slow, but the spectacle of it all, the scale, is really, really cool.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that you can lose this section unless you just put the controller down, maybe. So it is just kind of power fantasy increase of scale, and the way they do so well in this game when they want to. Basically, when you have a giant machine, anytime you have that going on, it always looks really cool. And it's fun to play as the Engels for a second, and then to do the boss fight against the other Engels, to do basically it's a kaiju fight from, any game that has the kaiju fight mechanics like this.
Yeah, or Rock'em Sock'em Robots. They just bring another one. Where did they have this thing? It was just under the water. These things are huge, and they just had one in storage. Okay, cool. It's. I mean, I think you would have to try to lose this. It's pretty slow, but it ends with this Mortal Kombat uppercut. You uppercut the other guy into oblivion. But the more interesting thing about this is, once Pascal is in the robot, he's completely abandoned his morals and his ethics.
Yeah.
admittedly, it started from an admirable place. He wants to protect the children, but as he's going through, he's just over and over again saying, I'll kill you. I'll kill every last one of you. It's to the point that survival forces him to stamp down and temper and sidestep his values of ethics and morality. His pacifism that has protected him and his way of life is now not an option. And we see him break that.
To me, this gives further like credence to the idea that the machines, at least the more advanced ones, are not doing like an advanced copycat of having ethics, having morals, having consciousness, because this is a choice that's being made when weighing, costs and drawback, or costs and benefits of like, well, if I do this, this happens. And if I don't do this, this happens. Like, this is something that lends, it makes it more believable that they do actually have consciousness here. Because like you said, when put in this situation, maybe Pascal abandons the ethics and morals that they've built up, but maybe it's like backsliding into a past way of life. Like there's been an evolution in Pascal's consciousness and personality, and they decided at a certain point to live a life of pacifism, but it wasn't always that way. So maybe we're backsliding when faced with this kind of existential threat.
I like that idea of backsliding. We don't see it. I mean, the examples I'm going to give are not as dire as Pascal's. They're not life or death. Although I suppose you do see that in real life, folks being faced with life or death. And it's like, well, what am I going to do? But I was talking to a friend the other day, and they had mentioned, they're doing some things at work to improve AI stuff. They're talking about how they're so against it, which so am I don't blame them, but they have to do it. Otherwise they can't pay their bills. It's a pretty similar, again, they're not, well, actually it is kind of life or death if you think about it, but it's a similar sort of thing where to survive, sometimes your morals and values sort of have to be put aside. And I guess there are two ways of looking at it, right? There is some nobility in keeping those, but on an individual scale, if, let's say my friend did decide to quit his job because, I don't want to help improve the AI that is taking away so much of our environmental resources, going to kill the planet. They quit their job. They're potentially out of money, potentially losing rent, potentially getting kicked out, and that can lead to a whole horde of things. And sure, slippery slope, I get it, but none of that is out of the realm of possibility. It's survival. And sometimes it's a tough decision, and it never feels good, but it happens.
Yeah. Whether it's at the scale of like, I need to do this in order to keep my job, in order to stay housed and stuff like that. Or if it's, on the scale of Pascal in this scene in the game, you can't help anybody if you're not, if you don't have any, like if you lose all of your resources or all of the ways that you can do effective things. In Pascal's case, literally, if you die, Pascal can't help anybody. So, it's like, and then the slippery slope becomes like, okay, so hopefully we're temporarily setting aside our morals and ethics in order to like get this one thing done. And then after that's over, do we just go back to the way it was right before? I mean, what if something else comes up? Then that's when you start to get into that that real backslide. Yeah.
What is the saying? You can't take care of others if you don't take care of yourself. I think that plays into a lot of this. That's advice for people pleasers and everybody in general. You run back to the factory and you're playing as Pascal, which is a deliberate choice. And I feel like anybody that's genre savvy probably knows what's coming, or at least, the result, maybe not the how of it all. The children have all died inside. They committed mass suicide. They pierced their cores with just machinery that was laying around the factory. Seppuku. They killed themselves. And Pascal is obviously losing his mind. Total breakdown. And when he's wondering why, when A2 asks, why would they do this?
Why would they do such a thing?
I taught them everything. All my thoughts and emotions. I thought it would serve them well in the future. But instead...
How would teaching them lead to something like this?
Fear.
I don't understand.
I taught the children what fear is. I thought had to know so they wouldn't rush heedlessly into danger. But instead...
Fear destroyed them. It caused them to take their own lives.
If I knew this could happen, I never would have.
So he's blaming himself for teaching them the concept of fear.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
I had written a note down. I think it may have been in relation to something else, but it was probably combined with this scene right here. That this and a couple of the other things that Pascal and the villagers, like on their path to learning all of these things, learning all of these emotions, it kind of like puts in perspective all the shit that it's just part of our normal life, like fear, anxiety, things like that. We just live with that. Like that's as part of being human as anything. I guess it's part of being alive in nature, but
Totally.
in the world and society that humanity's built up, like we have all of this stuff. We have our fears that we just live with. It's part of the experience. And I think that by highlighting it here as like we introduced it to these machines, all of a sudden they couldn't handle it. Like they were like, well, it's better to pierce our cores. And there was a part in the earlier scene in the machine village where they talked about how the machine's consciousness is stored in the core. So if the core is destroyed, the machine is destroyed. That being and that unique being is destroyed. And so they have decided, I think by framing it this way, that like they couldn't handle the idea that fear is part of existence. I don't know. It just got me thinking of like, there's a lot of other things going on in the world lately that have me thinking about just like, just how bleak things are sometimes, man. Like it sucks. Like life sucks sometimes. And we talked maybe in some of the previous episodes about like some of the nice things, the culture and art and things like that some of these other machines are like maybe superficial things that they want. Like I want to be beautiful and things like that. But now you're bringing in the real shit. You're bringing in fear and
right.
They just couldn't handle it. And I don't know. Maybe it is just the state of the world that's got me thinking about that, but it really got me thinking about just like we go through a lot, even with the privilege that we have, like you and I sitting here doing this podcast, we go through a lot. And for someone to just go from nothing all the way to like, here's the fear of everyday life, that's too much for them to handle.
Yeah, and it's not just the total 0 to 100 of it, like as opposed to what you had said, the ramping up that we all experience, especially now where, we're reaching new ceilings all the time with how terrible everything's going and the genuine threats. It's not just that, but these machines, they're all children. And from what we've seen, they've acted like children for hundreds of years. Think back to the Forest King. He's been a baby for, 400 years, 500 years? Mm-hmm. That's just, they don't grow. That's how they are. Their understanding, even if they were taught this a while ago, their understanding of it isn't going to be like if Pascal was taught it, like all at once, 0 to 100. Pascal could probably reason a little bit better about how to confront that feeling. And it also comes down to the human idea of fear versus animals' instinctual fear, right? We can conceptualize fear in an abstract way, whereas if an animal were in this situation, they would be inside of, the abandoned factory, and that to them is shelter. As long as they're in there and no other machines are in there, that animal is safe for the time being. Might be freaked out, but it's safe. These kids don't know that. They have a conceptualization because they're not animals. They are children, though, so their conceptualization runs wild. They get too scared, and boom, ritual suicide, which I've also seen, too. I've seen some folks criticize this because, they're mimicking human society, and children don't do this. I don't know. That's not really a criticism I had considered, but I guess there's weight behind that.
Children don't do this as in mass suicide?
Yeah, mass suicide.
Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like technically, yes, like that's correct, but I don't know. I don't have a real world example to prove or disprove that.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly not something I think about. So I wouldn't have come to that criticism had I not read it somewhere. But, also, man, I'm really trying to stamp out commit suicide from my vocabulary because I hate the term. I just keep falling back into it. It's unconscious. It bugs the hell out of me.
Definitely an unconscious. It's been there for almost 40 years for me. So I've been podcasting for 40 years. Yeah.
Right out of the womb, he comes out with an AT 2020.
That's right.
Pascal's got one last favor for you. He wants you to do one of two things: either delete his memory or kill him. And there's also a secret third option. You can just leave, I'm pretty sure. Just let him wallow in it. But it brings up an interesting question. What are the moral and philosophical implications of confronting this kind of pain, mortal, existential, devastating pain, and wanting to run from it? Is it cowardice? Is it self-preservation? There's no right answer, but it is a conversation that comes out of this. Is Pascal being a coward? Is he sticking his head in the sand and refusing to confront what is essentially the human experience? Or is it sensible? Is this weight just too much for him to bear? And of course, maybe we would do that in his situation. I don't know.
What did you do?
Oh, I erased his memories because
Okay.
It's really messed up if you do erase his memories, because it seems kinder in the moment, but you go back to his village. Did you do this?
I did this the first time I played, so I don't remember what happens.
Oh, it's messed up. You go back as 9S at some point, and the machines are still dead. Like the ones that were killed there, they're still littering everywhere. You see Pascal, he's just sunny as can be, and he's like, oh yeah, I found this place. I don't know why it's so messy. I've been cleaning up all this scrap. And he'll sell you the cores and the heads and the parts of the dead machines that he once called his friends and children.
Oh shit.
You can just buy them off him.
That's pretty brutal. So I killed Pascal this time, and I think I did it the last time too. I guess one of those things, there's several games do this sort of thing where they give you two options and there's a secret third option. I'd never considered to just walk away, but walking away, after doing a little quick calculus, seems like the best option.
Can you expand on that?
I guess it's especially with the way you describe what happens if you wipe his memories. Like, I guess it depends if you're looking at it from Pascal's perspective or from the detached, here's how the story plays out. And we're weighing things from like an omniscient point of view, like the player of the game. If you're looking at it from the omniscient perspective, I think that walking away and not doing anything is the better ending, because it's the only way. Like you could see hope in Pascal's future and not have the tragedy of what you described in the village, right? Like Pascal will be upset about this for a long time, however long it takes, but you can see a future after that, because I guess we've just seen dealing with grief or dealing with mistakes that you've made in real life or in other stories. Like there is a light at the end of that tunnel. But if you wipe his memories, it's just, I don't know, that sounds pretty tragic. And if you kill him, you kill him. There's no coming back from that.
Let me posit a counter argument. When we wipe Pascal's memories, you had said that that's a bit tragic because of what we see. We see him selling his former friends and, family, and it's really messed up. It's horrific. Are we being selfish because that's only horrific to us? Pascal doesn't know any better in that situation.
Which is why I posed, like, we have the two perspectives. Like, from Pascal's perspective, that's, he's like, oh, I found these machines, I might as well make some money. Like, it's fine, I guess. From his perspective, it might be best to do it that way.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess it depends on which way you're viewing the story from.
This is what we talked about up top, too. Pascal's reaction to this loss of meaning in life. It's not a literal God, but his act of worship is his duty and dedication to raising and fostering this peaceful environment. Now that that's gone, what is his response? His response is just kill me, because both of those options, wiping his memory or killing him, they're functionally both the same. They're both death. We've talked about this throughout the whole thing. 9S, you're not my 9S. This isn't you. You'll lose the you that exists right now. So if we wipe his memories, that's the exact same thing. You lose this Pascal. So it's both death. And in some ways, I kind of agree with you. The walking away might be the better, might be what I would argue to be the better option. It would suck for Pascal, but
yeah.
And, potential light at the end of the tunnel, sure, but potentially he just kills himself.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you don't know. That's what's interesting about these decisions. I don't know. I find video games give you interesting decisions like this every now and then, where like you have this detached perspective and you can make a more rational choice than someone who's actually in the situation could. But what's fucked up is like sometimes in real life, people are in that situation and have to make that choice, even though there's no winning. And it's like, why do I have to make this choice? Why as A2 here, like, why do I have to make the choice of what to do with Pascal here? Like, I'm just here. Like, I just came with you to the factory, and like, it's not fair. In real life, it works out that way sometimes too. And that's the tragedy of it, because like, I don't know, you're making a choice for somebody else, but you can't really see their perspective 100%.
Yeah, that is too true. It happens all the time, and it's easy to detach yourself whenever it's in a video game or in a story. But you know, these stories aren't entirely made up. Every bit of fiction is drawn from somewhere, so it's bleak, right. But hey, it happens. And you know, some of these stories and games give you real life ways to work through it. You know, with that detached perspective, you think about it, and then you work through it in life a little differently.
Yeah, it can either tap into experiences that you've had, or like just give you an excuse to kind of work through the what ifs of these different situations, which is why video games that have these types of philosophical decisions in them are so interesting to think about and talk about. I won't create more editing work for you to beep out the name of a game, but like, you know, both of us recently played a really good game that ends with a decision like this, exactly like this, to make a detached decision, kind of hoping for the best with one of them and making a more immediate decision with the other. And it's, you know, it's fucked up, but like that's kind of what happens sometimes. And I guess it's nice to think about, talk about, and somewhat experience these decisions within the safety of a game.
So this is where we switch to 9S. You can start with 9S too, but this is where it'll switch over if you picked A2 at the beginning. He's being repaired by Devil and Popola. He's okay. I mean, he's still pretty messed up from 2B. His mission is now to wipe out all the machines. And the way that he's going to do that is by taking down the tower. And the only way to get into the tower is by going through and taking down these... I wrote down the factories. And I also call them the towers, so this is not consistent at all. They're like mini towers you go through. You fight machines and you destroy the cores.
You go to different areas of the world map to get these pass keys to then hack the 3 mini towers to unlock the main tower.
Yes.
It's a real MacGuffin section of the game.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't take a lot of notes for that because, like you said, it's kind of a MacGuffin. You do learn some interesting things. You learn that the black boxes of YoRHa were created from machines. You find a little note that says, from like command, that says it could be said that the consciousness of YoRHa units and machine life forms share the same structure. Said black boxes were installed after determining that it would be inhumane to install standard AI in androids that are ultimately designed for disposal. That last part is very interesting, but the only words 9S hears are machines and androids are the same.
Yes. Another chip away at the foundation of 9S's world. So I hate the machines. I'm going to go kill the machines, but I'm basically a machine. Like, we're one and the same.
Yeah, our boy's not having a good time.
Yeah.
He's about to have an even worse time, too. Inside one of the towers, you do a hacking board, like as 9S's little sprite, and you start to see his memories with 2B. They come up as like screens, little vignettes, and you hear a little bit of them too. And this is where his complete psychosis break starts to accelerate. Which, by the way, I was reading some of the lore, and I'm pretty sure the 9S models are like predisposed to psychosis. I don't quite remember. I think that's right.
It could be. It could also be that like the 9S models just have this destiny to learn too much, and maybe they just can't handle that.
My hypothesis / headcanon is that, you know, in addition to the curiosity that they were programmed with, that kind of makes them innately more human, and along with that comes total insanity.
Mental issues.
That's probably not true, but it's fun to think so. But he, like, the 2B that's standing there turns into this like humanoid figure, blocks, and which is a good description for blocks. And you start attacking them, and you jump on them, start stabbing them to death. He thinks it's the core. He starts stabbing the model, and it's actually 2B. He's stabbing her over and over and over again. Blood is just staining her face. And this is where some of the supplemental materials come in. There is I don't remember if this is a novella. Oh, this is the novella of NieR Automata. It's just the whole story, but in it you get more glimpses into characters' thoughts. And this section, I found an excerpt from it. Here's what 9S is thinking as he's stabbing 2B. He says, "I'll kill anyone who hurts 2B. I'll kill anyone who touches 2B. I'll kill anyone who gets close to 2B. I'll kill anyone who looks at 2B, because the only one who's allowed to look at 2B is me. The only one who's allowed to get close to 2B is me. The only one who's allowed to touch 2B is me. The only one who's allowed to hurt 2B is me." And then it just sort of trails off as he continues. I read that and immediately thought back to the "you want to expletive 2B" line, don't you?
Yeah.
Because then I'm still reeling that I forgot kill. Because like hearing this, like I don't think that's his main drive, but hearing this, like he's completely breaking down. Like he's having these thoughts like, I'm the only one that gets to do all of this. It's very possessive, potentially can cause harm, kill. And then of course, you know, sexual intentions. He's totally breaking down, and maybe Adam knew that, and that's why he was just deliberately messing with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I guess if 9S he's spiraled obviously quite a bit, and if this is what's going on in his head during this, then maybe it was something that was like always kind of budding there all along, or maybe it's just he's obsessing over 2B, probably even worse after he saw her die, and now he's just lost it. And like you said, he's super possessive of even the idea of 2B. This is all mine. She's all mine. Nobody else can do anything with her. And so, yeah, maybe Adam knew that. Maybe Adam saw right to the heart of everything and saw all of these 4-letter words that 9S wants to do. But yeah, this part, reading it in the outline, immediately made me think of that 4-letter word section too.
Man, you said all those 4-letter words and my mind said dance, and I feel like a total moron. You know what's interesting though, I'm glad you brought that up, is there are two popular, neither of these are confirmed by the way in any of the supplemental material or Taro either. I don't think so anyway. There are two popular theories about when 9S was infected with the logic virus. One of them is in a later scene, and one of them is right here. And actually, now that I said that out loud, there are supplemental materials like the strategy guide that Yoko Taro helped with, and other short stories that say at the later point he was already infected. So this particular scene is never cited, but a lot of people sort of theorize that this is where the infection starts, and they point to this exact moment where he's going a little bit nuts, stabbing her and you know, saying all this stuff in his head. It's compelling. I don't know. I could buy it.
Mm-hmm. I also I guess I didn't know that 9S was infected, at least not in the same way that we know infections worked with others in the past. Like, it at least takes on a different form if he is infected, right? I didn't clock him as having the logic virus, I guess.
You definitely, I don't want to say you definitely should, because that sounds like I'm like scolding you like a school teacher, rapping your knuckles. I don't know. I think it becomes pretty obvious at the end, especially if you're like me and realize at the very last minute that the word logic is in the name. He starts acting anything but. That school teacher line was supposed to be a joke, by the way, and I'm hearing crickets again. So
no, I was thinking through, like rolling through scenes in my head. Yeah, I think maybe the very end. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of game in between now and then. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't have clocked it as being right now.
I'll take that as your cue pushing me along. There's another pod scene. They're just concerned about 9S's mental deteriorating state. They're also speaking more human-like. That's the more interesting thing here.
Yeah. The steady progression of the pod scenes is something that kind of, like, I wasn't paying attention to the first time I played, but kind of knowing where it ends up and knowing that you should kind of pay attention to these a little bit more. They're not just like little interludes. Hey, choose your character after we're done saying a couple of lines. It is interesting to pay attention to that progression. And there's a couple of like quotes that come up fairly soon where you're like, we're now going to explore some of these things through new characters, some of these story themes through new characters.
Yeah, it's really cool. It totally caught me off guard. Like when you start seeing them use contractions like I'm instead of I am, things like that, or like when I think Pod 042 at one point says ... yeah instead of affirmative. It's like, whoa, like this is a major change. 9S gets some repairs. He's heading to the third tower. There's an unexpected fight with Operator 210 here. It's pretty emotional. This is, I think in this fight she says explicitly like, I saw you as family. Like I had said before, she's really into the idea of human families. 9S, I don't even think he's hearing it, to be honest with you.
Nope.
But it's A2 that actually saves him. He was going to get killed by her, but A2 comes in, stabs her. And she looks at him and she says,
2B told me. She told me she wanted you to become a good person.
Once again, he tries to attack her.
Don't you dare talk to me about 2B!
But again, the ground crumbles.
Yeah. That's the way to get 9S out of a scene. If you're like, the scene needs to end and 9S is here, just have the ground collapse underneath him, have him fall down into a pit.
Well, Dave, it's Chekhov's ground. If you introduce the ground in Act 1, it's got to crumble in Act 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and so on.
Yes, in every scene, yeah.
I know directors that use subtlety and they're all cowards.
Yeah, it's weird how the rest of the game takes place just in this void as you're surrounded by floating rocks and stuff like that. There's no ground, it's all gone now.
So you had just brought this up and you sounded excited about it. The next notes I have are about the pods recognizing their will. Do you want to talk on that?
Yeah, sure. So we've had like, I don't know, a handful of these pod scenes at least. And in this section of the game, you play a little bit as 9S, then a little bit of 2B, then, you switch back and forth, or you can do them all like in a row. But it always takes you back to this like choose your character screen. And the pods usually have a little something to say. But we do have these like longer interludes where the pods are talking to each other and they're like strategizing like about how they can work together. They're talking about like, oh, 9S's mental state is deteriorating and stuff like that. And as they go, as you said, Rick, they start to talk more casually. They start to talk more naturally, less robotic, if you will. And there's a quote where one of them says, after repeated information exchanges between multiple pods, an unexpected phenomenon has occurred. We pods have developed unusually protective feelings towards support targets 2B, A2, and 9S. Query, could this be our will? And we have like a kind of an awakening basically happening right in front of our eyes. The pods are gaining a will of their own. And if you want to, I don't know if you want to connect the dots, they're gaining more of a consciousness than executing what they were programmed to do. So what do you attribute this to? Because it's clear the path that the storyline with the pods is taking. Why do you think that they're awakening like this?
If I'm thinking about it from like a writer-director perspective, I think it's a really clever move that they did. They've had us focus so much on androids and machines that they subverted us by all of a sudden making our pods these totally minor characters that up until now only said things about like transferring data and proposal and stuff like that. Now they're gaining it, and it's this clever little left turn. I thought that was really cool. Narratively, probably just his overall theme what does it mean to be human? Well, it's consciousness and having a will, and recognizing perspective, things like that. That's, if I had to guess, that's probably what it is, just fitting into that. There's probably a more clever read into it. I just don't know it.
No, it's definitely like, I think it's definitely using the fact that you took the pods for granted as like, well, these are just fucking robots, man. Like they're never going to have this happen. They're just our little robots. Like you said, you kind of forget that they're there and they talk and stuff because they're, of all the machine life forms that we've met, they're so far on the side of robot that like you never expect it. But my question was more like, what do you think sparked this? Because there had to have been a moment when they switched on, basically. They went from pre-programmed pod to now they're developing something. And I have two kind of things that I think about as like, what is the thing that can like spark this change? And the first one is, like they said, they care about, they have protective feelings, they say, unusually protective feelings. They care about the well-being of 2B, A2, and 9S beyond the fact that like, yeah, you're assigned to this android. You should care about them in the way that you care about your assignment. So that like love in a way, or I wonder if it's like the communication, the frequent communication between the two pods that maybe brings this out at a quicker rate than it would have had if they were just like by themselves. Maybe it wouldn't have happened if it was just one pod never talking to the other pod in the way that we see. I don't know.
Well, you very graciously left the next line in for me to read, which I think you did on purpose whenever you asked me that question. They say, I think Pod 042 says this, they say, just as androids are influenced by humans, so are we tied to our creators. So I think that's one diegetic reason for it. Otherwise, I think it's exactly what you said. They're just spending so much time with them. And it seems like Taro's whole vision with this is the capacity to learn to empathize and love. And that's a core part of what it means to be human. And now even the pods, as you said just now, the most machine-like things that we see, now they're even developing it. So I think you're right on the money with that.
It's nice how it's nice how they bring this up slowly as like something it's almost happening in the background, because like the stuff with 9S and A2 is more flashy and it's going to be more the thing that you're like waiting to see what happens with those two characters. And then you have like these little interludes with the pods, and I don't know, it's just a little bit quieter than some of the explorations of these same things in the first half of the game. And it ends up like, we keep following this. It becomes more and more and more important as the story goes on.
Yeah, that's a great observation, that it's a quieter moment in the midst of like all this flashy stuff. Good one. That sounded sarcastic. I swear it wasn't.
No, you're good.
I was going to skip over some of this stuff because I don't want to drag this out too long, but I want to touch on these next couple of fights. 9S is trying to get into the main tower. He can't quite do it. Tons of machines. This is where Devila and Popola come in to help you fight. And they do. They get you in. They get gravely injured, and they do end up dying later from their injuries. But this is where, I brought this up before, the remix of Song of the Ancients plays.
Yeah.
Which is far and away in NieR Replicant my favorite track. Everything they do with it in there. It was one of those things where as soon as I heard it in the opening area, I was like, this is like one of my favorite town themes I've ever heard. And when I heard it here remixed into like whatever you're hearing right now, it was one of those times, like those rare times playing a game where I was just smiling like a dopey kid just ear to ear, like, this is so cool.
Love it. Yeah. The first time I played, I hadn't played Replicant yet, so I didn't clock any of this. I didn't know anything about Devla and Popola or the Song of the Ancients. And then, yeah, playing it again and having the context for their characters, but also the music of NieR carries so much of, like, the emotion, and then the way that our brain, like, ties the emotions and feelings of a certain game to, like, a song or a group of songs, that if you know it and the song kicks up, then it can bring that stuff rushing back in this moment, and you're like, I don't know, maybe remembering all the stuff about Devla and Popola, remembering how NieR Replicant went, remembering the story, and there's something about the NieR music that, like, I don't know, there's something about it, for me at least, that really taps into that, like, that connection that we form between music and feelings while playing a game, that bringing a song from a previous game back does a whole lot.
You also get, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't read it, but you get an optional document about their history, what happened. It basically sort of parallels real world issues like prejudice and racism. You know, the original Devla and Popola were a failure. They caused Gestalt to fail. Every model afterwards kind of got blamed for it. They were all deactivated except for these two. They were kind of kept under observation. They were programmed to feel guilty over that, over the, what I have in parentheses, original sin. And you just see it, like, throughout the whole story as they're, like, going through the world. It starts with, you know, dirty looks and comments under the breath, and it turns eventually into, you know, shouting, physical violence, stuff like that. Super cool, way too long to read, so I didn't even paste it in here.
That's the gist of it, though. Like, because of their failure that caused humanity to die out, they, yada, 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 these two have been programmed to feel the guilt of that failure forever. And it's another thing that, like, if you don't know the story of how did Devla and Popola fail in the original game, and what was the, you know, what did they do? They actually, like, it's cool to think about. Like, I don't know if we want to spoil Replicant here, but, like, the way they failed is not the way that you kind of think that they would fail if you don't know that story.
I would argue that it wasn't their fault.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then they just have to carry that, even though it wasn't them. It wasn't this Devla and Popola. It was other ones. But they're like, you know, you're the same model as them, therefore we can associate your failure with you, and you have to bear the burden of someone that looks like you, maybe, or a relative, perhaps, if you wanna make that connection. And then, yeah, the fucked up thing about the androids is they can just program them to feel this crippling guilt all the time for something that they didn't do.
Well, you could also draw parallels to, I mean, if we're staying in Japanese culture, like things like Pearl Harbor. It's very possible that some older generations will just see a Japanese person and do exactly what the resistance members and androids are doing to Devla and Popola, just blaming them for what happened before, just because they look similar.
Sure. Or,
9/11.
you know, Islamophobia. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There is an essay, I forget who wrote it, that I was reading, that they wrote it like shortly after that. And they said that they had a neighbor that was, I don't remember if they were from Iraq or Pakistan, but they had come over and, like, they were like, hey, this is horrible. I just want you to know, like, that's not us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's just crushing to read.
Yeah. Yeah. To think about being in that position where, like, someone's going to take one look and, like, snap judgment, like, you know, you're to blame for something that happened that you obviously had nothing to do with, but that mental association is just not going to go away for a lot of people. It's rough. And the short story that you read about, like, the Devla and Popola unit, like, escaping and kind of moving through the country and stuff like that, protecting each other. It's kind of a tough read. Like, I don't think that the short stories that you read in this game are quite as good as Kaine's in Replicant, but they're still good and well worth reading.
Oh yeah, you shouldn't skip any of them. 9S goes into the tower though. There's a big fight here. Fight of a horde of 2Bs. and this is one of the few gameplay comments I have here. I feel like I don't make those enough. There were too many of them, and it kind of, for me, it tipped from like climactic and visually exciting to like a cluttered bullet hell, like a cluttered button mashing hack and slash bullet hell. I don't know, your intuitions with this stuff are better than mine when it comes to gameplay.
I think that the problem with this fight's the same problem as the earlier one we talked about. It's like, what's the best way to fight as 9S? It's by hacking. It also, like in the final fight too, maybe I'll bring it up again, but like, it's really hard to have an emotionally resonant and like really powerful fight when you're interrupting it to go between the fight and the hacking minigame, back to the fight, back to the hacking minigame. I mean, and there's like, there are too many of the 2Bs. It would have been fine to fight 1. It would have been fine to fight 3. But I maybe they wanted to show the power of the machine network or something like that. But the fact that there are so many, which means you're either just kind of mashing the attack button into the crowd of them, or you're going back and forth between the hacking minigame, like legitimately like 30 to 50 times, because it takes like, it takes 1 or 2 to kill one of them. Probably depends on the difficulty you're playing on too. But it's too much hacking for a combat scene to have like a real emotional effect, as much as it could have, I think. Yeah,
it definitely feels like a bump in the carpet. It feels very dissonant with what it's trying to do. The reason, you might think, like seeing all these, you might think that he's just going crazy. The canonical reason is this tower is the machine network like condensed, and the machine network is just fucking with him. And again, I found this excerpt from the novelization that gives you more insight into it. This is not too long. I actually shortened it quite a bit. You could see a few in there. Oh, and by the way, you might think he's going crazy because like as he's fighting these, he's cackling and he's like, "Don't worry, I'll kill you." But what he's thinking, what they say in the novel, he says, when 9S saw the 2B copies, he thought that the machines were trying to mess with him again, like what they tried with 210. They probably wanted to see him get killed by 2B, see his face twist in despair, watch him as he cries and screams, he thought. Silly machines. Despair? Cry and scream? But why would I do that? When there are so many 2Bs right in front of me. I'm glad that 2B isn't walking around somewhere I don't know about. If it's here, I can reach her. I tear off my visor. There's no need to hide anything. There's no need for extra information. I want to see directly. 2B's figure. The 2B that I can touch if I just reach out, reflected in these eyes. I can't hold down my bubbling laughter. And this is what he says in the game, because I'm going to destroy all of you. Making 2B models without permission. I can't forgive that. Breathing life into 2B models without permission. I can't forgive that. That's why with these hands, I'm going to destroy them. That's right. The only one who is allowed to destroy 2B is me. I'll shatter every last one of you into pieces because you're all mine. I won't hand you over to anyone, not even if it's to 2B herself. That last part is very interesting, not even if it's to 2B herself. His possessive side is really coming out.
Yeah, the novelization is interesting because I would then be curious to know, when do these like possessive feelings start? Did he always feel this way? Or was it some point in Route A or B where he started this kind of possessive thing and he just kept it under wraps?
You know what's funny is I happened to see just a little quip about that in the novelization, and this is like, it's not a reach, but it's very vague. In the novelization, 9S says something about Adam reaching in to his mind in that scene and seeing his wickedness. Mm-hmm. And some people read that as being like, his inner psychosis, his protectiveness and selfishness towards 2B, things like that. I don't know. Maybe.
So maybe it was something that was there, but to a much lesser degree at that time. And maybe not even something that was like, at that time, it was something really toxic and destructive like it is now when we see these scenes.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. A lot of this is up to interpretation, which is cool. Mm-hmm. We go back to A2. She's following 9S's wake of destruction, just dead androids, dead YoRHa everywhere. You enter the library from Replicant. It's just a representation, but still very, very cool. You can go into Popola's office and everything.
You can see the room full of statues of like the shade monsters. I think they're bosses from Replicant, or at least some of them are. That library brought back memories because, Rick, I don't know if you know this, you go in that library 700 times in NieR Replicant.
You do, but the arrangement of the Song of the Ancients that it's playing, that's like not on like glasses, but like almost like glass percussion. It's probably my favorite.
In this scene in Automata?
No, in Replicant. Like anytime you go in there, it's that arrangement of it. It's very nice.
Mm-hmm. I think we have a different arrangement of it here in Automata too, and it's like just much different, much more reserved, if I remember right, than the one from the fight scene outside. And I don't know, they do this really well. But it's cool to be back in the library and remember that door that was chained up that kept the thing in the basement, and that's our goal, is to open up that door here after we learn all the stuff.
Yes, and you do learn some interesting information here. I don't think you get to read it like right away, but you learn about the Model A2. I'm pretty sure this is the stage play. It says that after the first descent, like in the stage play that descended to Earth, Attacker A2 was the sole unit to return alive. There were mediocre results. They analyzed her stored personality data. They discovered she possesses excellent analytical and decision-making skills. So they decide to install her personality into the Lot E models that they are creating, which we are learning about here for the first time.
The E models that are used for protection of the YoRHa project, right? Like, they're there to make sure nothing interferes with the grand plan, which that's what our boy 9S finds himself doing a lot of times, is learning too much.
Yeah, he's a troublemaker.
Yeah.
Speaking of him, he wakes up, he's right beside one of the dead 2B models. He puts his hand on her cheek and then immediately rips her arm off because his arm was cut off and he needs one. He says, "I have to keep fighting." And the pod tells him, "You are corrupted." But he doesn't care. So this is where a lot of folks say that he got initially corrupted. It's either here or it's in the soul box scene. It's one of the two. Yeah.
This is earlier when I was confused about him being infected. It was because this scene was like, yes, he's absolutely corrupted by something.
Oh, yeah.
But there is a different type of corruption that I also is like part of my canon for this, or my head canon, I guess, which is like the corruption of like rage and revenge, which there is nothing else to 9S at this point. It's just rage and destruction. He doesn't even know what he's trying to kill. He's just going up the tower, killing whatever's in front of him. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a plan. He's just doing it. It's blind rage at this point. And so we'll get into that a little bit later, but like this is why I'm not like convinced that he has like the same virus that was causing the other YoRHa androids to like, lose control the same way. Like his thing is very different from when we were fighting the YoRHa androids in the streets in the city ruins. But this is, he could have gotten a corruption by putting this arm on, but it could be this like, I'm just killing now. That's all that matters to me. I have to keep going. I have to keep killing.
I don't remember. Well, first of all, you're dead on with the revenge thing. The three games that I always think of first are The Last of Us 1 and 2 and Lisa the Painful. Immediately, like it's those games focus on that kind of thing. But as far as the corruption goes, I don't remember if there's a canonical explanation. If I had to guess and just make one, I'd probably say that because 9S is programmed to be so human-like with his curiosity and perhaps mental instability, maybe it just affects him differently, or maybe it affects all of the specialized units differently. Because 2B got corrupted too, and she managed to, and so did the commander. They managed to keep their composure until the very, very end. It's possible.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, who knows? This is where those twins from before, I think they're just called the Red Girl, they show up here. They are, correct me if I'm wrong, they're basically just a manifestation of the network itself, right?
Yeah, I just kind of viewed them as avatars. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they have a special announcement that Yoko Taro let them say it before the combat started. God bless him. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a Christmas miracle.
This is, I think we alluded to this up top, but it's a top secret document called the YoRHa disposal. And it says the back door of the bunker has been set to open once the time approaches to switch to new models when enough combat data has been collected. The bunker will be disposed of by having it deliberately attacked by machines. At this time, all materials regarding the YoRHa project, including this document, will be lost, and falsification of the information that mankind still resides on the moon will be complete. Now, when I wrote this, I wrote that I was unclear. Is this like going to happen in the future? Did it already happen? I'm more clear on it now because when we talked about the corruption in the bunker earlier, that came through this back door. Like that's how the machines got in. When that opened, they corrupted the network. That's how they got everybody. So I'm pretty sure this was about to happen, right? Like that's why
I think it's all part of the plan.
Yeah, the all-out attack.
Yeah, it's all part of the plan, and it makes me think, this could be a cycle. Like how many cycles of this have we done? Like the machines can build another bunker, they can print new androids. If this is all part of the plan, then who's to say it hasn't happened a dozen times already? And that if the events of this game played out differently, that it wouldn't happen again.
And this is the only bunker they have, right? Like if this one gets destroyed, there's not another?
It's tough to say, because like the bunker that we see in the game is like, I think it's small because of like development limitations. Like they didn't want to model the fucking Citadel from Mass Effect or something. So like, but we see a bunch of different types of YoRHa androids that are like not represented in the bunker. Like, the bunker has like 3 bedrooms in it. So, there might be different bunkers, or it might just be like a, use your imagination. This bunker is actually much bigger than you see. If this is the only one, I guess it really doesn't matter if it's a cycle or if it's not, but like it makes it more fucked up and more fun in my head if it is a cycle and it just keeps repeating. Like, we'll make the androids, like their data is somewhere, give them this false reason to live, and then when they learn too much, we blow it all up and start over again. Yeah.
Man, that's a good point. I didn't remember, or I didn't put it together that there's like 3 bedrooms. That's really funny. They have a commute to work.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is going to get compressed here. 9S and A2 are both going to fight the twins a bit. The machine network knows everything, about Project YoRHa, the models. They know it all. They got into the bunker. They've got all that. Pod A, this is very funny. Pod gives A2 a proposal, and she's like, I don't know what that means. She's getting really pissed off. And the pod goes, this pod has serious concerns about A2's cognitive abilities. It's so good.
Pods can roast a little bit. It's good.
I'm somewhat unclear on what he's asking here. He suggests not attacking to mess with their logic circuits, to like condition them and reprogram them, which works, but like I'm not sure that I'm understanding that properly.
So my understanding of it is like they're in like the hacking space, and they're fighting these avatars of the red-haired girls, and by attacking them, it's like an easy equation. Like you attack them, therefore they divide and they attack back. But if left alone, then I guess if they don't have like an input to respond to, then they don't know what to do. And that is what causes like the strife and causes them to start fighting each other, because once they all start to like make up different ideas of how they should respond to the situation, like when left to their own devices, then they start to destroy themselves. Like,
okay.
Yeah. I think that's my understanding of it.
Well, that's exactly what happens too, is, they're multiplying like crazy. There's even a few gigantic kaiju, like one's huge. They all start disappearing, and the last 2 twins left, they start to argue. Well, they don't really argue. They just both propose something and then immediately say, all right, you're done. One of them wants to let A2 live because she's going to be a problem, and by creating those hardships, they're going to evolve quicker. The other one just says no, she's got to die right now. And they basically immediately start killing each other, with A2 saying they're acting like humans. Mm-hmm. Which I think, like, I don't know, like, this is another scene in this game. There are like 2 or 3 that I just don't think I'm clever enough to read into. I think that's maybe that ending there when she's like, they're acting like humans. Maybe that's all it's supposed to represent. the emulating of humanity comes with all the baggage too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been a couple comments throughout the game about like, I forget who said the first one, but it was like it was Adam and Eve, right? They talking about like humans have this endlessly interesting capacity to love, but they kill each other in the same, in turn and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is just another one of those. But like you said, if the machines so badly want to become human, then they get all of it. They don't just get the fun parts. They don't just get the art and the pixelprojectradio podcast and all the good stuff about being human. They get all the shit too. So maybe I don't think that this is more than that. It might be. I would love for someone to give a different read if they have it, but to me it was just Yoko Taro again revisiting the idea that humans are fucked up, and like give us an opportunity to disagree, and we will disagree. And
yes.
When humans disagree, bad things happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See any social media website ever.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you agree with me though. That gives me some reassurance. But yeah, no, totally agree. If anybody else has different thoughts, please let us know. This is followed by a really long boss rush between, you go back and forth as A2 and 9S, and it goes back and forth at an increasing rate as they both go up to the tower. I don't have really any notes on this at all. It's just a boss rush,
Just yet another time when it's way too long in between times you can save your game. That's the only note I have.
Oh yeah, good point. Okay, and in here the next note is everything here to the end is important. So buckle up, everybody. The two of them get up to the top of the tower, and you get some dialogue before the fighting starts, because obviously they look at each other. Well, actually, it's pretty cool. They get to the top, and the big boss that both of them were fighting comes up, and the two of you sort of have to begrudgingly fight together. And for a second, you're like, okay, maybe this isn't gonna end the way I thought it was, but no. Logic is not here right now. They immediately get into position. The camera pulls back. It's looking at them from the side. This is the conversation they have.
The commander, me, 2B, sacrificial lambs, all of us. Isn't that hilarious? Doesn't it make you laugh?
9S,
Shut up! You killed 2B. That's all we need to kill each other.
2B hated to keep killing you. It caused her so much pain. The 9S type is a high-end model. They knew you'd discover the truth eventually, but the model designation 2B was just a cover. The official designation is 2E, number 2 type E. They were a special class of members designed to execute YoRHa units. But you knew that, right, 9S?
Shut up! Shut up! What do you know? You don't know anything at all about us!
So this is it. This is the 2E model. It was never 2B. I mean, there are B units, the attackers, but that's not who she was. She was Type 2 Executioner model, solely built for the sake of, I mean, yes, like you said, to protect Project YoRHa, but in large part from Units 9S.
Yeah. How does she protect Project YoRHa in most instances? Well, it's because 9S learned too much, and he's got to go.
And she kills him. That's why I so strongly encourage everybody to read the series of short scenes. It's like 4 scenes. It's online. It goes by so quickly. It's titled A Repeating Prayer, and it's 4 instances of 2B killing 9S, and each time she's like, I hate this so much. She breaks down, basically. 9S he basically accepts it. At one point, he asks her to do it again in the next life. Really, really good. I took down a bit of dialogue from one of those, from 2B. She says So they had already foreseen that he'd someday attempt to access Project YoRHa's confidential data. My official designation is 2E, number 2, type E. From the moment 9S gains illegal access within the bunker, it becomes my duty to carry out his execution. It's a duty that I must repeat, over and over, without end. And then there's a stage direction that says, with a hint of pain in her voice, over and over, I continue to kill 9S with my own hands, and every time it feels like a void within me deepens. I wonder if it's okay for me to hope for the day when my sins can be forgiven.
Yeah. Think back to that time that 2B killed 9S at the end of ending A, and she said, it always ends like this as she's crying.
Yep. And think of every time, like the very beginning of the game, when he doesn't remember her and he walks away and we get that shot of her fist just clenching. He might not remember all of these times, but she does. She remembers all 48 times.
Yeah. Which is, you know, it also explains her reluctance to, like, let him be casual and get close to her on the mission. Like, for self-preservation purposes, she's probably like, please, dude, don't talk to me. Let's just do the mission. And then maybe it's not going to happen this time, but it does.
It always does. That is one of the many cycles here.
Yeah. Another part of 9S's ability, or like a worldview, chipped away. And if you thought he had nothing left now, well, he's like, well, the person that I loved was designed to kill me specifically.
Yeah.
He really has nothing now.
Yeah. It's really tragic. I had remembered thinking that 9S was a tragic figure, but couldn't remember why. And in my defense, I've been saying that a lot. The last time I played this was in 2022, and I didn't think about it since. So give me a break. But yeah, he has such a sad fate. He's here, though. He's fully corrupted with the logic virus. That is to say, his logic is gone. His eyes actually flash red. What I wrote here, this goes beyond corruption of the circuits. It's corruption of the mind. And if you want to get behind what the game's been telling you, the soul. And his pod 153 is like, this isn't a good idea.
Proposal: cease combat. Fighting her at this point would be
Pod
irrational.
153, I order you to halt all logical thought and speech. This order shall remain in effect until you confirm the death of either myself or Unit A2.
And funny enough, she, like, A2 raises her blade, but she's making a face like she does not want to do this. I mean, and because it's pretty clear now, her and 2B, they're not the same person, but they kind of are.
Yeah, at the very least, she's got the memories, she knows the story, and, like, what does she have against 9S really? Like, she doesn't need to be fighting him, even if you were to separate her from 2B, and if you're like, it's still A2, but she can access 2B's memories or something like that, why would she want to kill 9S? Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, she might have been able to kill them earlier in the story if she wanted to, or maybe because it was 2-on-1 she couldn't, but I don't think that she has, like, a really strong motivation to want to kill him anyway. It's just like, if he keeps pressing it, then, like, she's gonna have to do it. But I'm glad you noted this is the point when his eyes flash red, and this is kind of what I was talking about before, like, and you noted too, like, the corruption of the mind or the corruption of the soul, or both. Like, it doesn't have to be that he has, like, a mechanical virus, like a computer virus. He's corrupted by this blind rage that he feels, and it's because everything that he ever held true has all fallen apart for him within the last couple of days, basically, whatever time frame this is all happening in. In that clip that you put into the episode, he's like completely lost it. He's like scream laughing this monologue at A2. Like, he's all the way gone. And so, yeah, I mean, it's maybe like the type of thing that you can't come back from, in the way that if he was so corrupted by, like, the logic virus or something more mechanical, there's no coming back from it when it gets too advanced either. But there's no coming back from the rage that he feels right now.
Yeah, the mechanical machine-based logic virus is sort of adjacent to the greater virus that we've both brought up several times, that blind rage, the loss of logic through that fatalism and nihilism that comes from losing meaning and rejecting to find it, but just sort of spiraling. You know, he's embodying that, whether through the quote unquote virus or not. That's the point of it.
It almost doesn't matter which one it really is, or if it's a combination of both.
Yeah, exactly. And you get to choose who you want to fight as. A2's is the first one in the alphabet. Meaningless Code is the title of this, which I like that title. I like the next one more. If you play as her, 9S can hack you too, and it'll force you into hacking segments. I thought that was cool. You can't stop it either. Very cool.
Dude, it's if he hacks you, it's like, for anyone who didn't play maybe or doesn't remember, when 9S hacks you, it like fucks with your controls. Like it'll reverse, you know, your joystick controls and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And one of my like best accomplishments in this game is beating one of the hacking segments while my like X-axis was reversed. I felt really good about that.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. It's
a real pain in the ass. Turns out 9S can do some stuff.
I think I can't remember where I read this, but canonically, I think they said that the logic virus just boosted his strength, and that's the only reason he can even hold ground with A2 right now, because otherwise he'd, you know, just be dead. Which, I mean, put a pin in that.
Yeah.
You know, she gets the better of him, of course. And it's funny because the attack type that served as the blueprint of the execution type units, she wants to save him. She says that. She's like, I'm going to save him. So she gets Pod to have her to like hack inside of his mind. The music here is really terrific. I feel like I've done a disservice by not talking about it more, but the music here is very cool. It's sort of like a funeral choir, very clearly mournful, but it's not so slow to be like a dirge. You know, there's like just a little bit of hope in there. It's very good. She gets to the top where he is. She says she's going to save him. In the real world, Pod carries 9S to safety, and A2 is sort of still in his mind. She touches his consciousness, and in the game, this is left vague, and I prefer that. She touches his consciousness, the tower begins to fall, and she says, as it falls and you can see the sky, she says, I never quite realized how beautiful this world is. I'm coming. Everyone, I'm coming. The tower collapses around A2. Both her fate and 9S's fate are a mystery. I don't remember if I read this like in official lore or if it was like just a really smart Redditor. I think it was the former. I think it was lore. But when she touches him, she absorbs the corruption virus into herself, and it does kill her. So that's the official thing.
Okay.
There's like a little epilogue. There's like a verdant forest. Foliage is returning everywhere. And you see a moose look at this rock with 2B's sword and 9S's eye mask, just sort of on a monument on a rock, symbolizing their place in history, the fact that they are still intertwined with each other. It's okay. I'm surprised to say I like this ending a little bit less, although I like that it's vague.
Yeah, I think that you just like, you know, so much less about A2 as a character and like what she wants, that her ending, I guess it would have a hard time living up to the ending for 9S, because you've been through so much more with 9S to this point.
Right.
You've played as A2, but like, I'm still not 100% clear on what's going on with her, right? Like, she's out there, she tells the Pod, all I want to do is kill machines. And I took that to mean basically A2's life, whatever it used to be, has fallen apart. Maybe her comrades died, something like that. And she's just found like this thing to cling onto to keep her going, and that's killing machines. And then she gets wrapped up in all of this, and it ends up with this showdown with 9S. But I still don't know a whole lot about A2. So the fact that her ending doesn't hit quite as hard, not a surprise to me. Although I do like the ending where she kind of looks up and like she says, I never quite realized how beautiful the world is. I'm coming, everyone. It just gives you a hint of like, she's been at this, she's been in this state for a long time. And it kind of gives the idea that like, she knows she's about to die and she's okay with it because of what you can assume from that. Just whatever you're thinking, it's fine. It's probably true enough. But I didn't know that she like absorbs the virus into herself, and that's what she means by I'm going to save him. Which, if she has nothing else to live for, basically, like, I can see that. It does kind of feel like she's just kind of floating through the wind for a lot of the time that we've known her in the story, and probably a long time before that.
Yeah, I think her main arc in the story, and you can argue whether this, how much of this is due to 2B's influence, is the arc, the arc of the whole first half of the game, just learning to empathize and feel perspective for an other group that she starts out hating. Like, I think that's, unless there are side quests that you and I both missed, which is, that's totally possible. Or, we didn't watch that one commercial that aired on one television channel in 2019 that explained this. That's certainly possible.
Yeah. Didn't get the Burger King toys that explain A2's ending.
Right. And also, too, her taking that virus to sacrifice herself and looking at the sky saying, I'm coming, everyone. That's both her and 2B talking. Not literally. I mean, it's only one voice, but that is the both of them. They both, at that point, they both want to save 9S. I think she's empathizing with him at the end there, especially with her reticence to engage with him, because she sees how the lies from YoRHa have hurt him, and also the loss of 2B. And she sees how misunderstood, how much he's misunderstood the situation. I think it's her too. And then obviously, of course, it's 2B, saying that I'll save you and I'm coming, everyone. I don't know. I think it's both of them.
That's kind of like what I mean when I say that we don't really know enough about her to do anything other than to just kind of guess. Like, I think it's an educated guess to say that A2 has been through something similar to what 9S is going through with this whole finding out that, because she knows that everything about YoRHa is a lie, or she knows that they're lying in some capacity, and she broke off from YoRHa. So she's gone through this, and maybe she sees a little bit of herself in 9S. And then, like you said, there's the 2B element too.
So that's ending C. Ending D is 9S's ending, Childhood's End. And I think that title will be very, very clear as we go on. Dave, question for you. Do you think I'm going to read this entire wall of text that is very clearly more than one full page?
I think you don't want to, and I think that everyone would forgive you for not reading that whole wall of text. I'm certainly not going to. No one wants to hear that.
By not going to, Dave meant both. He's not going to read it, and he's not going to forgive me if I read it. He meant both. No, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to summarize it.
Just like Yoko Taro, I keep my intentions vague. I keep the truth vague.
But 9S has some combat dialogue here. Also, when you're playing as 9S, it's pure side-scrolling, like the first A2 fight. Pretty cool.
It is. And just this final gameplay note for this is 9S is talking during combat, and it's consistently, well, we've talked about, what it's like to try and pay attention and fight at the same time. But also 9S is constantly hacking, which interrupts combat, or interrupts dialogue. Dialogue doesn't play during the hacking sections. So this was the most disjointed dialogue in the history of video games for me in this boss fight, because it's like he gets out half a sentence, then I'm hacking again. Then it comes back, he finishes the sentence, then I'm hacking again. And on it goes.
And it sucks too, because this doesn't advance the plot at all, but it gives you an insight into who he is. He says, as he's fighting, he says, it doesn't matter, none of this matters. But if it doesn't matter, why do I long for humans like this? Why do I desire the touch of something that no longer exists? And A2 tries to explain it. She's like, we're programmed that way. We're programmed to love humans. Sort of just like the pod said earlier. Just as androids, machines are designed to love androids. Androids are designed to love humans. Pods are designed to love androids. But he's too far gone. He just interrupts her. He's screaming. He's screaming, shut up the whole time.
Yeah. But so yes, you want to hear this because you want to get this last bit of characterization, but this is the climax of the game. You want to hear what characters are saying during the pivotal scene at the end. It just on that simple level, that I have never disagreed with the decision to put this dialogue in combat more than I do in this scene. in this showdown. It's like in the other scenes, it's easier to pay attention to because you're not hacking all the damn time. But in this one, it's like, it's impossible. Unless you just run around and try and pay attention and then fight when they're done or something.
Oh yeah, I've been banging that drum ever since I played BioShock.
I just started playing BioShock a couple of days ago, and yep, you get about a third of the way through those tape recorders, and then you start fighting stuff.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. A 9S can't take her, obviously. I mean, even he's powered up and he still can't. But as she's about to kill him, though, she hears 2B's voice say, "Take care of 9S," and she pauses just long enough that he is able to run her through with his sword. And the big dummy, when they fall, he falls on top of her sword. So they're both impaled on the ground. And it seems like A2 dies immediately because she's not moving one little bit. 9S is writhing and screaming, and he does it for a good, I don't know, 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's really brutal. And they're in a huge pool of blood. The camera, once they stop moving, the camera sort of pulls back. And this is where we get a huge text section. 9S just reliving his thoughts. Let's work off of each other here to make sure that we don't miss anything, even if we are summarizing it. The gist of it, he's sort of living in that twilight of teetering on death, when the classic, I went towards a white light and time slowed down, that kind of thing. So he's reminiscing on that. It's white, it's a little bit cold. 2B was always aloof. He speaks about seeing this arc and seeing Adam and Eve, and they invite him to come, which I interpreted as the crossing over into death.
I mean, it could be that, but also the, going with Adam and Eve to me symbolizes, like, in the final moment, 9S, maybe in this like last moment of clarity, is like, the machines are all right. They're fine.
Oh, that's totally what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But, going off to this other place, like, it's not, you can see it as crossing over to the other side into death too. But this last moment of clarity as 9S goes through basically all the things about his life that really stand out, like starting from, why he was made, how he felt about that, how he felt about meeting 2B for the first time.
You're right. It's, he explicitly states that in the text. Where does he say it? After Adam invites him to come with us, he says, maybe I never had a reason in the first place to hate machines. What have I been fighting for? Who have I been living for? I don't know anymore. I try to speak my mind, but the words don't come out. My thought routines are losing cohesion. And then he just straight up doesn't remember his name as he's, fading out.
Yeah. And that's, one more time, the tragedy of 9S's character is basically his dying thoughts as his consciousness is fading, is him questioning, like, what was I doing? Like, I wasted the time that I had. What was I fighting for? None of this mattered. And the tragic part is that a lot of it's not his fault. Like, he spent so much time in this dogma that we've been talking about. And then when he lost all of that, he couldn't find new meaning. And he spiraled into this nihilistic, like, none of this matters. This is all bullshit. And then all he has left to give himself meaning is revenge.
Right.
And this is what got him here. But it's just so tragic to me that in his last seconds, he basically doesn't, like, he has nothing to look back on, like, be proud about anything that he did. And the last kind, true thing that he does is choose to go with Adam and Eve, because he's like, I guess this is the one thing that I'm sure of, is that the machines are okay. And why you have a choice, by the way. You can go with them or not. You get a dialogue choice. I always do, because why not? But yeah, that's what I took from this.
Right. Yeah. When God is dead, how does one find meaning? By the way, it's not just a metaphor for death. It is, and his final thoughts are one of, yes, it's tragic, but ultimately acceptance through his at least he's realizing he's misunderstood. But it is a literal arc too. Like, we're about to see that the tower collapses and the rocket fires to the moon. Again, Taro said that all of these or none of these are canon. It's up to you, but I've seen this one cited as canon the most. I don't know. And you see this in real life all the time too. I feel like we hardly even need to cite examples of folks one day just losing their religion, and that sends them into a spiral, right? They realize that the dogma they've been living within, whether it's religious dogma or otherwise, the dogma they've been living within was based on a total faulty foundation. Now they're crashing down and they're like, well, shit, what do I do now? Some people go into despair. There's a hopeful side to it too. You know, like when folks realize they leave their hometown and they're like, oh, that political scene that I was totally indoctrinated into is based on nothing but hate and violence. And now I'm seeing that I was just under the control of someone else. I couldn't see the light. Now I do. There's a hopeful bent to it too. But I don't think it could have ended that way for 9S. He was never set up on that trajectory. And based on his actions, it couldn't have ended that way. This was the only logical conclusion. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Yoko Taro does something like that really well in the stories that he tells, where like characters' actions like do have real consequences for them, even though like they may have had an understandable reason to act the way they did, or like find themselves in those internal conflicts that they find themselves in, like 9S does. But like 9S has free will in that he can choose. He could have chosen to ask A2 what's going on, like why did you kill 2B, instead of like snapping to pure anger or something. Maybe that's not a great example, but like what I'm trying to say is this is the result of the choices that 9S made when he found himself in that position where it's like God is dead, as we've said, what do you do now? And he couldn't find something healthy to replace that. And it all spun out of control.
No, I think that's a good reading of it. It was going to spiral out of control. It just had to be. You see the tower collapse, the ark shoot off to the moon. The idea behind that ark, the rocket, was that it was a plot by the machines to destroy the human server on the moon. Because they destroyed the machine network, nothing was on that. You know, the memories of, I think, Adam, Eve, and 9S might have been, but it was otherwise empty. Mm-hmm. You see all the folks look on, the Resistance members. If Pascal's still alive, he'll be looking on. You see all that. But that goes immediately into ending E once you do that. The credits are rolling. And by the way, I felt so differently about this than I did the last time I played it. The credits are rolling, and the pod confirms the death of 9S and A2. They said the overseeing of YoRHa is complete, but they've developed will, like we've said. One of them, I think this is Pod 042, says, we were created to execute the android's Project YoRHa plan. We had no capacity for emotion. But when we 6 were connected and exchanged information, something happened. I cannot deny the feeling of something resembling consciousness and emotion being born. Pod 153 says, unable to reply. Pod 042, in probably the most indicative of becoming human, responds to that by saying, perhaps we now understand that not everything has to have an answer.
Yeah, if you think about the pods as these like companion helpers, you know, like a C-3PO always has an answer for, you know, encyclopedic knowledge, probabilities, shit like that the pods are always throwing out there. That would be something different for them to just be like, it's okay, we don't know the answer. And that's one of the takeaways that you can come from this like whole exploration of what makes something human versus a really close imitation. And like one of the answers to that is like, there's not a definitive answer to it. We've rolled through a bunch of different possibilities throughout the game. And I don't mean that in a way that like the writers are like hand waving, like we don't have the answers, so just have the pods say. It's more interesting than that.
Yeah, no, I never buy it when folks hand wave stuff like that away. Like, oh, the writers just didn't know, so they made it ambiguous. that's rarely the case, especially like I feel like you see this bad faith argument a lot in video games too. And maybe I'm just thinking of it because I just finished The Last of Us Part 2. You get to the end and, well, I don't want to spoil it just in case. There's not a clear reason. Well, I think there is, but there's not a clearly stated reason, and people are like, well, they just wrote it because they were lazy, they hated the fans. It's like, no, you just read a book, man. I don't know. It's seriously ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I just did a recording about Dark Souls 2, and there's a very similar criticism I hear where people are like, someone says something to this effect in the game, so it's the developers saying like, hey, we don't have the answer, so stop caring. And it's like so clearly not the case, not something that's happening there. You should play Dark Souls 2, Rick. It's very cool. Anyway.
I would have to play Dark Souls 1 first, which I did start. I just got like an hour in and said, all right, I don't have time for this right now.
Yeah,
I'll get to it eventually. This ending E continues. You hear Pod, I think it's Pod 143, starts to recite the beginning of the game. Everything that lives is designed to end. They're perpetually trapped in a never-ending cycle of life and death. And then it differentiates. She says, however, life is all about the struggle within this cycle. This is what we believe. So it's a new twist on that, whereas 2B's was completely pessimistic, falling into that idea of nihilism. This pod has sort of accepted it all and accepted that it's about the struggle that is within those cycles. You know, whether it's the cycles of infinite lives like the androids in the bunker, or with organic life. You know, the cycle being a grander thing like generations and generations. That's nice. I like this.
Yeah, this is a takeaway that, like a lot of stories that are about people trying to find meaning, will end up finding meaning in that struggle or in those, in those in-between moments. It's not like the big thing that suddenly gives meaning to your life. The meaning is what happened along the way. And I think that's kind of what this is about. Right. And, so some folks might say that that's a boring truism or a platitude, but that doesn't make it any less true. Mm-hmm. I think they did the heavy lifting throughout the story to justify putting this in here. It doesn't feel like the end of a 22-minute cartoon on like, I don't know, Disney Channel or something. It feels earned. Where the characters turn to the camera at the end and talk about the lesson they learned that day. Yeah. Well, yes, but then in the very last scene, they have to do something ironic to get a laugh because you can't end on something sincere. You have to have like an ironic joke. That's right. Yes. If the internet has taught me anything, we can't be sincere. You see a couple pods, Pod 153 and 42, carrying bits and pieces of what looks like 9S. There's a this got a big laugh out of me. Pod 153 is like, how's it going? Pod 042 says, I'm embarrassed. Why is that? I launched a suicide attempt and yet here I am, still alive. I must look very silly. That is so fucking funny to me. The dry humor of the pods. Yeah. Yeah. The next line, he says, being alive is a pretty constant stream of embarrassment. And 042 says, that concept is a bit too abstract for me to understand at this time. Very, very good. But you see them, they're bringing parts back to 2B and 9S. They're laying motionless together on top of a building. And the camera zooms out. A2 is like laying elsewhere, just on another building. And it leaves it vague right there. It doesn't like give you a definitive of what happens. I found I think it's a stage play. It might have just been a live reading of a script. I found the script and then I found a video of the actors reading this on a dark stage. It's titled Farewell. It confirms, I actually really like this ending a whole lot. It confirms that 2B survived this, but 9S had too much of his data destroyed and corrupted, did not survive. They tried, I think the pod said they tried like 34,000 times to revive him, but it didn't work. So 2B goes to incredible lengths to find a vaccine to restore his lost data. They've pinpointed somehow like way underground, like inside of that crater, I'm pretty sure, like down where Adam and Eve were. But she finally gets it after forever, but it doesn't work. They're only able to restore his like last moments. And in those moments, he's like, you hear him talk about accepting death and that his life wasn't all bad. And that really what made it worth it was spending time with 2B, like living with 2B.
And unless there's more to it, this ends with she just starts crying and stays in that one spot forever. She never moves again. Now, that's the kind of ending I like.
That's that's pretty bleak. Although
so bleak.
Yeah, I mean, I know that all this supplemental shit is canon, but like basically reviving a character in a stage play that's not part of the game. I don't know, man. That feels like being a bit too loose with the story. But I do think like this ending, if they do bring 2B back, it's a pretty good ending.
No, you're right. He's totally playing fast and loose. He just, I got to admire him. He doesn't take any of his work that seriously, even though like everybody else loves it. He's just like, yeah, it's just a thing, I'm just having a good time. I gotta respect it.
He takes it seriously in the way that like he's trying to make good art, but he's not precious about like the details or like the canon. And I like you said, I really respect him just being like, like there are more important things. If you think that this is true, then that's more important than what I think. So who gives a shit? Like, make your canon. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, precious is a really good adjective to describe it like that. Like, he is anything but that. Yeah, I don't know. And, I've said on this show so many times that I don't like it when they revive characters like that. But I think why this works is they don't revive them to have a happy ending. They don't revive them.
That's true.
They don't revive them like a certain classic JRPG where it happens and then they're back in the party gung ho. Everybody's dandy. Also, I don't know what happens to A2. I'm realizing.
Yeah.
Why do they keep casting her aside?
I mean, the story's always been about 2B and 9S, I guess. Even when you're playing as A2, you're kind of playing as 2B. So yeah. I guess, I'm sure people... No, I don't know. I was going to say, I'm sure people finish the game and they wonder more about the fate of 2B than of A2, but like, I thought 2B's fate was very clear. I never once wondered if she was alive or not.
I think I did, just because the whole scene is framed, well, one, 9S and 2B are like right beside each other. But two, like there are at least like 5 or 6 pods flying in with different parts from them. And I swear there's an ending line that I'm forgetting, but the whole scene is just very bright. It's in the daytime, I don't know. Maybe that's reading too much into it.
Did the data salvage restore all of their past memories?
Yes.
And are those recovered parts of the same design as previous ones?
Yes.
Then, won't that simply lead us to the same conclusion as before?
I cannot deny the possibility. However, the possibility of a different future also exists. A future is not given to you. It is something you must take for yourself.
What do you think of like kind of the last act of the pods, right? So we have
this ending?
Yeah, so like the pods basically, they're going against their programming to like basically to continue living. Like they have free will now, or they have a will now. I guess in order for it to become truly free, they need to kind of break through the system a little bit. That's how I read this. That's why you have this really difficult credit sequence to reach the ending of this. And that's, I don't know. What did you think of that?
I didn't like this at all. It felt too much. It felt way too saccharine and heavy-handed. Like all of this, like this ending stuff, it just really feels like he's really putting it in your face about what you should have been feeling. And I would argue that he did a good job of that throughout. So he didn't have to do this. It feels like a victory lap after doing like 12 victory laps. Like it's too much. Do you want to, I don't want to be reductive about it. Do you want to explain what goes on here? You clearly like it more than I do.
Yeah, I love the ending of ending E. But my love of it is not necessarily because of the story with the pods coming to this ending thing. They basically, and I forget like the order and the exact quotes, but they basically ask the player like, we can break out of this thing that we were programmed to do, and we can see what we can do for these characters. And I got the impression that they're giving this option that, like, if you help us, then maybe the pods can live, like we can have a life, and because they've started to attain consciousness as this like subplot through this part we've talked about. But in order to do that, we're gonna need help. Like we need to break out of the things we're programmed to do. So it sets up. That's my read of this. I'm not 100% positive, but that's what I think. So it sets up the playable credits sequence, which is a bullet hell shooter like the hacking sequences, but it's way harder. Like you have to destroy all the names in the credits as they come in. And it starts out fine. You can probably play for a couple minutes and stay alive. But it's really hard. And eventually it'll get to a point where you will die.
And it should be said too, neither you nor I are the first to say this, but you are literally killing God. It is the creators of this universe, Yoko Taro, his team,
That's
who
true.
are literally killing God.
Yes. So as you go through and as you die, and before I go further, I just want to point out they're playing every version of the song Weight of the World. So they'll play the English version, then the Japanese version, then the French version, and they'll keep cycling through those. And that song just really brings something out of me. And I cry through this ending sequence every time I've played the game. It never stops being effective. I think it's honestly, a lot of it is just the song. I associate a lot of the struggles and the emotions of the story with the song, even though the lyrics are a little bit hampered by the fact you can tell they're translated from Japanese, and like they make them fit into a good sequence of like a good rhythm in English. I love the song. Also, the Japanese vocalist is just given like 250% on that version of Weight of the World.
She's really good.
Yeah, really emotional singing. And that, I mean, I don't know, that just brings it out of me. So I'm crying through this because I love the song. And they go through, as you die, they'll just ask like, yeah, it's really tough. Do you want to try again? And you click yes, and it will put you back in the credits and you try again. You die again, and it will say like, it's really tough. Do you want to give up? And you click no, and it will put you back in there. And it will keep asking you every time you die, are you sure you don't want to give up? Are you sure you don't want to give up? And then it will start to change. It will start to be like, do you want to give up? No. Do you think that life is meaningless? No. It will ask a bunch of other questions. One of the questions is, do you think video games are a waste of time?
Silly little things.
Yeah, silly little thing like that. They're not all silly, but some of them are.
No. I mean, literally, it says, do you think video games are silly little things?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Sorry. And then, so as you play, we'll keep asking you those questions. And if you die enough, and the screen is like full of bullets, you're dying every couple of seconds, or at least I am.
I think it might literally be impossible.
I wouldn't be surprised if you found someone on YouTube that did it, but it might literally be impossible. So they get to this point where you get asked, like, X player is offering their assistance. Do you accept? And it will be like just someone's PlayStation username or something. And you can say yes, and they'll join, and then you can finally beat the credit sequence with the help of whoever this player was. And just saying it, I think kind of undersells how powerful I think it can be. And again, I think the music is doing most of it, but I do think that having somebody else help, even though they're not logged on helping in real time, but having someone else helps the moment, I think. And then at a certain point, after you beat it, it will ask you, do you want to become one of those people to help? If you select yes, you want to help someone else in your other game, it will say in order to do that, we need to delete your save data. I personally don't give a shit about my save data. I'm likely never going to play most games a second time, so I don't care about my save data, but I know some people care. But they keep going through these different options. They ask you a bunch of times, like, you don't know who you're going to help. Is that okay with you? You still want to delete your save data? Yeah, sure. You may be helping someone who you intensely dislike. Are you okay with that? Yeah, sure. And eventually you can delete your save data and you can write a little message for people. I don't know, man, those messages popping up, like, that worked for me when I was playing through the credit sequence, reading the messages from everybody. And, like, it's not the fact that they, quote, sacrificed their save data to do it. It's just, like, you're having a hard time, the game's been an emotional journey, and then, like, some nice, kind words at that moment in time really hit.
Yeah, no, I think, first of all, that's well said. I think it comes down to taste. As far as design and direction, I don't think it's bad. I think it is cohesive to everything that has been set up. I think the gameplay-wise, obviously the gameplay is exciting because, you know, it puts you into an impossible situation, and then you know, get everybody else and you're super powered. The music, as you said, obviously, it's a very good song. It reminds me of what's the ending song of Final Fantasy IX? I can't remember it, but I love it. It's kind of like that, not like sappy, but very gushy, you know? Not in a bad way, just very gushy. And then the meta aspect too, like the pods talking to you, like asking for your assistance with your save data, deleting your save data, which, you know, I can see what they're going for there. So saying that I don't like it is purely a taste thing, and it's not, you know, a criticism of anybody that does like it. I think for me, they did all of this throughout the story. It was perfectly set up, sometimes a little bit, you know, in your face, but otherwise super effective. The ending was it just felt very redundant, but also, how do I want to say this? The messages kind of pissed me off. Like it was really like, do you think life is meaningless? Do you think video games are silly little things? It's like, dude, you've been asking this the whole time. Nobody's going to not be thinking about this. And then I do have to say too, the song is very good. The performers are very good. When you accept help and you start to get those usernames come in, a huge choir joins in, like tons of people singing, and it just feels very like We Are the World to me. I mean, maybe it's purely a vibes thing. Like maybe this is just a vibe that I don't like. And again, it's taste, you know, I can't tell anybody they're wrong. I could just try and explain why it doesn't work for me. I do have to say though, you know, them saying that you can sacrifice your own save data to help somebody else, I think, you know, that's not as impactful as that sentiment could be. But also, I don't know how you could make it more impactful in this situation. Like, right. I think that's as impactful as it's gonna get. You know, what can they do? Like, delete your save data and also uninstall it from your machine, I guess. I was going to
say, we're going to revoke your digital license to play NieR Automata ever again.
Yeah. Jeff Bezos just bought us out. We can do that now.
Yeah.
No, I think that's cool. And I also, you know, we were talking about BioShock. At the end of that game, I don't want to, I mean, just in case I don't want to spoil it, you can make a decision to do a good thing or a bad thing, but functionally they play out the same. Like if you do a bad thing, you shouldn't be rewarded for it. You should get detracted. You know, the harder thing should get you the reward. Here, the harder thing is, or rather I should say in BioShock, the good thing doesn't get you any more meaningful reward than the bad thing, which also gives you a reward. So you're getting rewarded either way. Here, the reward is putting you into the game to help somebody else. You know, you have to sacrifice your whole game. You can't go back and view all the cutscenes. You can't do the debug menu. You can't replay you have to do everything over again.
Yeah. I think that matters to other people. Like, I think, because there's like a chapter select. So, and like you and I, neither of us are completionist types, but there's a lot of people that really care about like getting all the trophies and doing all that stuff. I like the concept of fucking with trophies. There's a couple games that I've played that like constantly give and then take away the same trophy for you depending on like what you do and your progress in the game. I think that's very funny and like a cool meta thing. I'm sure it drives the trophy hunters crazy. And when I say I'm living on an ascended plane of existence, I'm kind of joking. Obviously, do what you have fun doing in video games. If you like collecting trophies, then I think this decision to delete your save data and not be able to go back to that chapter select is going to be more impactful for someone who really wants to go back and do that stuff. Like, oh, I didn't get all 26 letter endings. I really want to clean those up, but now it's asking me to delete my save data. Like, this is a real push and pull. Whereas for me, it's like, I got the 5 from the story and I got 2 random other ones, and I don't care about getting the others. So I like it conceptually more than it's actually a real choice for me. I've deleted my save data all 3 times I've played the game, because each time I've played the game, I've thought I will probably never play this again, and I keep coming back to it. Yeah, I don't know. I think it does matter to some people more than it matters for us.
Oh, totally. I'm not against that at all. I think that's a very, very cool last thing to do. Do you remember what message you chose? Because you can't write your own, because that would be an HR nightmare. But like, you can choose, I think a set of 3 different, a hello, a sequitur, and then an ending sign off. What did you choose? Do you remember?
I don't remember exactly, but it was something along the lines of like, hey, I know things are hard, but we're with you, or something like that. Just something sweet like that.
I was a total hypocrite and did something ironic. I think I picked the first one, was like, oh, come on, you never told me about this. And then, but anyway, go out there and try again, you expletive.
But I think it's funny that they put those as options for you to choose from in those, fill in the sentence parts.
Yeah. Yeah. I never got one of those. Everyone that I got was very nice.
Well, someone someday is going to beat NieR Automata and read your message and be like, hey man, I'm trying my best out here.
And it'll be doubly funny because it comes from Bud Dink. And if you're of a certain age, you'll know who he is.
Exactly. Gotta hope they're a gamer of a certain age.
That's the game.
It is.
I wonder, maybe other than Final Fantasy IX, was this the longest? Maybe. Not a single one was under 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say by hour count, maybe. I mean, you did 4 episodes on one of the Last of Us games, right?
Oh, that's right, on both of them. Yeah, the one that I literally just did and couldn't remember. Yeah, that one.
That's podcasting brain right there. If you're not talking about it in the moment, it might as well not exist. Yeah, I mean, this game has so much stuff. When I did it on my show, we did a 3-hour episode, and I felt like I talked about 20% of the stuff that's probably worth talking about. There's just a lot to go through, and we skipped side quests and a bunch of other stuff too. It's just, a lot of game.
Well, that comes back to this idea too, and I don't know how many people listen like all the way to the end of these things, so like, it comes back to the idea that if you're doing a critique or an analysis or an essay, the point isn't usually to be exhaustive, because then you would only need one, and then nobody else would ever need to do it. It's about explaining what you got out of it in a subjective way in your own voice, and then you go to other people to hear their take, and it forms this whole big cohesive thing that helps shapes your view of it. Like I went through watching analyses of this today. Like I watched like 5 of them, or at least sampled like 5 of them, and nobody talked about the same thing. It was all totally different. And some people I was like, no, I don't buy that. Other people I was like, oh my gosh, I'd never thought of that before. And that's what it's about. That's why this game that's one of the reasons why this game is so good.
Yeah, 100%. That's one of the reasons why this game has persisted in, the discussion about games. Like, this is probably one of the most talked about games out there, and it's not brand new. It's been out for a while now, and it's because it's so rich for discussion. You and I came at this from different perspectives. We had different takeaways from the same things, and Frankly, I don't think, unless it's like your goal is like, I'm going to do the encyclopedia about NieR Automata or whatever game you're talking about, then I don't know, like you can do that, but you'll never be exhaustive unless you're just doing the encyclopedia. If you're just like, this is what happens and this is the lore that connects to that. But as soon as you start introducing your own opinions and takes and criticisms and, you know, injecting your own thoughts and your own beliefs into it, then you're never going to have the definitive critique of something. You can have the encyclopedia, but you'll never have the definitive critique. That's what makes it fun, and that's why I was excited to come on this series and talk about the game with you, because I felt like I'm pretty familiar with NieR Automata. I've played it multiple times. Yeah. I podcasted about it before, but like it's still fun to talk about. I'm gonna get something new out of this. And I hope that people who've listened to this, even if they've played the game 10 times, even if they've watched all the analyses and listened to the different podcast series that have done it, I hope they got something new out of the way we talked about it. And I'm pretty sure that they did, because nobody else was you and me.
No, you're totally right. It's good to seek out as many, I mean, geez, talk about the theme of the game. It's good to seek out as many perspectives as you can. Like, I mean, geez, there could be a whole like 1 to 2 hour essay on the religious themes and threads in this, both explicit, you know, Adam and Eve, Genesis, original sin,
Devil and Popola and their guilt. Yeah,
exactly. That sort of original sin. I mean, some of that we talked about, but there are other things that we wanted to talk about more.
Mm-hmm.
Gameplay is another big one. You know, you get a hack and slash maestro, they're going to focus on gameplay in ways that you and I might not be equipped to talk about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It is one of those games. And in case you couldn't tell, we recommend it.
Yes. Good game. Do you feel yourself feeling like a little bit warmer on it the second time that you played? Or just kind of a little different? Maybe not necessarily warmer or cooler?
Oh, no, I liked it a lot the first time I played it. I mean, I view it differently, but no, I suppose I like it more, but I didn't dislike it last time by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. That was a misspeaking on my part. Just, you know, the first time you play it, it's just, you're just playing it. You're taking it in. And then when you give it, like when you put it under the microscope, you're going to pull a lot of things out of it. Sometimes it enhances the experience of the game, and sometimes it exposes the flaws in ways that makes you like it a lot less. Like, sometimes that happens with the stuff that we do. So I was just curious.
If time were completely meaningless and spent endlessly, I would play every single game 3 times minimum before ever talking about it. Ooh-wee, that's all. We're done. Thank you. And thank you, Dave. You had mentioned a little podcast that you do. What's new over there? I know there's new stuff because I just saw it today.
There's new stuff all the time, every week, over on Tales from the Backlog. Every week is a different game, a deep dive episode, 1 game per episode, and it's always me with a different guest. And let's see, so people can look forward to, at the end of December, an episode about Astrobot, which will have a lot less story analysis that I've done here on pixelprojectradio, but that is a really fun game, and it's just fun to talk about a game like that. And then Game of the Year stuff, and then we'll be getting into the January episodes, which are Crazy Taxi, Hollow Knight, Silksong, and Dark Souls 2.
That is exciting. I'm looking forward to the Game of the Year stuff. Absolutely. I definitely recommend going and checking that out. The links are exactly where you'd think they are. They're in the description. Now, I'm assuming if, this is the last one, you've all probably heard the spiel, so I won't repeat it. Discord, Instagram, Blue Sky, Discord especially. Come join it. Find all that inside. Thank you once again, and thank you, Dave. Really appreciate you. Well, one last glory to gamer kind. And I think that's all. Take care, folks.